Thank you all for joining today. We have two exciting guests on the webinar today. I want to introduce them properly, but if you can see your screen, I'm not sure if Thomas is in the center of your screen, but he's in the center of mine. Thomas is the owner and founder and brains behind the Chipshot Pickleball facility. It also has several other amenities as well. I'll let Thomas introduce himself, though. Thomas has a unique background, so I'd love for you guys to get a chance to know Thomas briefly in this introduction.
We have 8 pickleball courts. We got 4 golf simulators. We have TrackMan and Foresight, the technology we used on tour. We have a full brewery. We use 18 PourMyBeer taps, and we use GoTab as well for all of our POS integration. It's about 30,000 square feet, and we're rocking and rolling, just trying to entertain people and give them a good time.
Yeah, no, and I apologize. I should have introduced Tim at the beginning too, but Tim McLaughlin, the founder and CEO of GoTab, one of our favorite partners, and I'm not just saying that because he's here. But Tim, if you want to introduce yourself, tell everybody where you're currently dialing in from.
Sure. Tim McLaughlin. I'm dialing in from Virginia. Glad to be here and great partners with Pour My Beer team. Josh especially, of course, because he's here. And very excited to be alongside Chipshot. Awesome client, beautiful facility. I want to make it there someday. I actually didn't realize, now I really have to go. It's also a brewery. As a side note, my wife owns 2 brewery restaurants, so I'm very familiar, and our products used oftentimes in breweries. So fun crossover detail there.
He wants our POS and our beer now.
Well, I for those that we were talking a little bit beforehand, I wanted to give everybody a little background of Thomas as well, because we have over 600 locations, and I have to say Thomas is unique in many ways. But one, he's the only professional athlete that we have as a customer as well. So Thomas and I have a shared home base. I started out my life in Virginia. Thomas spent his collegiate years in Virginia, but I was hoping maybe you could give a little window into your, life prior to Chipshot, just so people get a little chance to know you on the call.
Yeah, it might not look like I was a pro athlete, but I swear I was. So yeah, I graduated UVA, was 2-time All-American there, won ACCs individually as junior, had a chance to win a national championship, and then turned professional. And I played the last 5 years on the Korn Ferry Tour, which is the tour of the PGA Tour. Just kind of grinding on that. Always missing out on my PGA Tour card barely, battling through some injuries. And I got to see these entertainment facilities. I mean, I travel 30 weeks a year for the last 5 years. So, I've done 130 weeks of travel, and people think it's great. It's not nearly as great as it sounds. So I got to see facilities like Chipshot, that I thought were really great, that I thought I could improve on. So it's kind of where I came up with the concept in about 2020, right during COVID, 2021. And then, it took about 3.5 years to get to where we are now, but we've been open for 2 months, and it was cool to see it come to fruition. It was a lot harder than I thought.
Well, one of the things that I thought was funny, is like Thomas, I get to travel a little bit with my job. And I had some meetings in Orlando, and I was like, oh, well, I'll just switch my flight to fly out of Jacksonville on the way home and check out Chipshot. So I'm hanging out with Thomas, checking out the place. I actually got to play a little bit of Augusta, which, for those of you that are ever in the Jacksonville area, Thomas will, let you play Amen Corner. He's as a professional athlete, he has access to that. But Thomas is like, you don't have a direct flight to Philly from Jacksonville. I'm like, no, I swear, I changed my flight. He was like, trust me, I've flown out of Jacksonville many a time, and there's no direct flights to Philly. Sure enough, my flight did not change. It was actually out of Orlando, so I had to leave a little earlier than expected to get to the airport. But it was just funny how nonchalantly you just knew, like, it was, how to breathe, which airlines are direct from Jacksonville.
Yeah,
So.
if you need to know what time they take off and which airline, just let me know. I can help you.
So, but yeah, again, the goal is to take you through a little bit of the story, but also how we've been able to bring the technology together and some of the insights from that. Again, kind of a lot of people have ideas, taking that idea from this is something I'd like to do, to something I'm definitely doing. It's that whole, the chicken's committed, the egg's just there. It's just it's a difference in mindset. But I guess going through your facility, obviously you have the pickleball courts, but and you have the TrackMan. But what there were some other things there that I noticed when I was there that that help with the corporate events and things like that too.
Yeah, I really, I mean, the reason we chose, I mean, I vetted, I probably had 5 interviews with POS companies or 6. I mean, I'm super heavy into doing due diligence. I looked at, Pour My Beer's competitors too, and I really like the customer service I got with Pour My Beer and GoTab, and I like how tech forward you guys are. I mean, that's just the age we're going. If you're not jumping all into technology, you're falling behind. And I thought GoTab had everything we needed. I really got my first experience with GoTab and Pour My Beer at Golden Mill in Denver. I was blown away. I saw 800 people serving beer, and I'm like, I don't care what this is, I'm having it. I don't care what the cost is either. So it was amazing. It was cool to see. It looks seamless. All this is hard to set up, but yeah, it's I think it's great. Watching 200-300 people come into our facility, being able to sign up for a card and be their own bartender and use QR codes with GoTab, and really the whole thing's seamless. There's no checkout process. There's no waiting for the waiter or waitress. It really is, the power's back in your hands. You pay for an hour, you get an hour. You're not waiting for that awkward, can I have my card? Can I get another beer? There's none of that. The power's in your hands at our facility, which I really enjoy. I hope other people appreciate.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, as a side note, Thomas, I just had a food hall operator call yesterday, and his customer base is switched entirely to QRs, and he's a food hall, right? So he's got some of the hard logistics that you have. And the challenge he was having is people who have habituated and gotten used to and actually really appreciate the fact that they can actually sit down and have a meal together, which is something in a, sort of a low service environment, which is most pickleball facilities, you don't have a lot of staff standing around, waiting to take orders.
Yeah.
I think one of the challenges is how do you still have a great experience if you're standing in line at a counter or doing all these other things.
Well, and I think it's like, the thing when you go to these massive entertainment complexes in Florida, they're roller coasters, and you're paying $300 for a ticket, and you're waiting for 90 minutes of lines every time you want to get on a ride. That doesn't suit well with me. So I really wanted to create something where you show up for a 7 o'clock reservation. Most people get there 5 to 10 minutes early. Our process to check in takes about 30 seconds, and you are on your court over at 6:57. And you can scan your order in, and it's in by 7, and you're playing for the hour. And then by the time you finish your first 10 points, your food's sitting on your table waiting for you. So there's no waiting around, waiting in lines, killing time. You're paying for an hour, you're getting the full hour use. And that's what I really didn't enjoy with a lot of places I went, when I'd show up at that 6:55 mark because there's someone on the court. And by the time I went and got food and beverage, it was 7:20. And then I wanted to stay till 8:20 for my reservation, but the same reservation was happening at the other facility. So I really wanted to make this, move along. Now, in my dreams, that's how it worked. We've had to learn a little here. It hasn't been perfect, but that it's worked out pretty darn well.
Well, one thing I will add, since you mentioned them, my friends and Josh's as well at Golden Mill, we're actually working on stitching the QR and the RFID card together more tightly. So those two things can be more interchangeable in the future. So you're going to see where you can use a phone in lieu of an RFID card, or you can use an RFID card. Obviously you can't order from an RFID card or a wristband, but you can at least do a lot of things with it, like pay with it.
Yeah, it's a great setup between the two of you guys.
Are you doing? And I'm gonna play a little dumb here, Thomas, but are you doing a lot are you seeing yet a lot? I know you're only 2 months in, and it's hard to book a lot of private events, but are you doing a lot of private events as well with the RFIDs?
It's over half of our business.
Oh, okay.
We're kicking some serious butt on events. I have a great events girl, and we are booking out 200-300 person. I just had a 300 person event book here about 10 minutes ago. So we ran 8 events last week. We have another 5 this week. I mean, it's the only thing that's tough at our facility is it's 200 feet long. So when you get 250 people 200 feet away, it's hard to move them all the way up here to use
Yeah.
all the technology. So we've had to shift on the massive parties, and have a little more servers because I mean, when you get 300 people in a facility, it's just chaos. You know,
Yeah.
it's like herding cattle. So sub 75 people, we've had a ton of success with it, and it's been really good and seamless.
Yep.
And yeah, what people are, I mean, honestly, people are loving it. First time, like everything, when you got your first iPhone, it was a little clumsy. You didn't know how to log on to it. You know, we've had 6,000 customers come in the first 60 days that are all independently different. So 6,000 different people, and sorry, different people, and we're streamlined now. I mean, now we got our check-in process down. They're understanding how to do it, and the returners are easy. You know, it's clockwork. They walk in, they hand us the ID and the card, and the check-in process is 5 seconds. So they're out pouring their beer in under 2 minutes from when they're walking in the facility.
Yep. That's awesome.
One of the things you shared with me, Thomas, that I think is important to share with the listeners as well is, I think a lot of times, it's that founder that brings the vision together, but then it's having the right partnerships, not just with companies like mine and Tim's, but also the food element. That was how to get get on a par 5 and 2, but getting a food and beverage operation up and going is a little bit different skill set. And I'd love for you to kind of share that story because I think that's a powerful story as an entrepreneur. I really loved hearing that. So I don't know if you'd be willing to share that as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm an open book. But I think I don't consider myself a restaurateur. I mean, even though I am now, sadly, but it's when we first pitched this idea 4 years ago, I kept getting a resounding, "This is a fantastic idea. I'll do it." I mean, I pitched it to every person who was of significant wealth in Jacksonville, and it was, "This is great. I'll do it." Big red flag in everyone's investor's mind is a restaurant. Right? It's a classic saying: restaurants, they either do great or they die. There's no in between. And investors, that's a high risk investment. So and I didn't pretend to tell anyone I knew how to run a restaurant. So I just said, "Who's the best restaurateur in Jacksonville? You just tell me who it is. I'll go figure it out." And they gave me the family. Their name's the Adibs. They're a great family. They have a restaurant called Bono's, which is about 55 Bonos. They go from Jacksonville all the way out to Denver. And then we have another brand called String Sports Brewery, which is more of a sports bar. So that's what we have here. We have a full smokehouse and brewery. They make their own beer. We also serve all the other beers you could find, but we smoke all our meats. We have the barbecues, the wings, the chicken, the burgers, the whole thing. And it's been great, because all these things that I would have to learn in the restaurant industry, setting up, cleaning services and food distributors and alcohol distributors. I mean, the list is endless. I didn't know about any of this. I had someone I could lean on, walk me through it, and get me in with a group that already does 70 restaurants and get me into their process. I didn't have to invent any of them. So I was able to take their process and seamlessly move it into my idea. And, instead of being a franchisor, he's part of our company. So we're all partners together because I know the value of that. Can you put a price on 30 years of experience? If you need someone to burn a par 5, you call me. You don't ask for me to give you a lesson.
No. Again, I think that's such a valuable lesson to anyone listening. It's knowing enough to know you don't know everything, right? And then bringing those partners in that fill in those gaps where you may have as an owner and operator. Let's see. Just looking at the picture, one of the things I did want to highlight is this is one of our newer deployments, and for anyone that's looked at our company, we usually did RFID. That was the only way that we would transact with allow patrons to transact. So an RFID wristband, an RFID card, a key fob, whatever, a room, a hotel room card, anything RFID. What you see there is it's actually a combo reader. So it's a combination RFID QR code reader. And that's, in the event that Thomas wants to activate that portion of the wall, it's a function where a guest can scan a QR code, and once they've verified their age, that a QR code appears on their tab that allows them to pour, and all the transactions automatically go back there. So, that is a function that's now available that wasn't, and it's exclusive with GoTab. Tim and I don't know, that goes back about a year, I think, when we had that first conversation, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and there's more to come. Actually, I have a question for you, Thomas, and hopefully, well, I won't want to get into anything too private, but do you have a rev share agreement with your partner that's doing the food, or how?
Yeah,
Have
he's
you?
part of the whole. He's part of the whole company. So he's because we all have some skin in the game here. So he believes in the product just like I do, and so I'm doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and then we have investors, and then we have he's part of it as well. So
Got it.
he gets a piece of the pie.
Got it. And then I guess my question is, are you doing remittances? Are you taking a percent because the GoTab feature? Or are you guys not using that?
We're not. I don't think we're using that now.
Okay, got it. I was just curious because a lot of our operators do, and I didn't know if you were sound like yours may, but if they're investors, then you're already aligned.
Yeah, we're all
Yeah,
pretty aligned.
got it.
So I mean,
Very
we're
cool.
aligned enough where we're doing another one. So let's put it that way.
There you go. Very cool.
Looking through this project, Thomas, yeah, I know you explained to me some of the, I think the previous tenant, there were some challenges with the previous tenant to get out in time, but then they got out like instantly. I thought, I don't know, maybe I'm a glutton for punishment, but I love the war stories that people have because a lot of times they just hear, oh, we found a space on like the 12th place we visited, and then we put the LOI and they accepted it on the first terms, but without getting too gory, I'd love for you to share kind of that process.
Well, I think the problem was if I knew how hard this was, I might have never done this. But the problem is I'm so far down the road, I have to do it now. So, I was like, I got this idea. I'll just find a facility, pay the cash, build it, move on. No problem. Done deal. I'll raise the money. I raised the money. No problem. I got it done. And every step is about 100 times harder than I thought. I mean, finding these facilities with certain ceiling heights, certain width between the poles, making sure it has the correct utilities. I mean, you go to the United States and there's 50,000 places to lease. You put in all the stuff you need, 12. Literally, I'm getting it down to 12 in 50 states, and they are gone like that. I mean, this one was on the market for 2 days, maybe, and it was like sharks in the water. I mean, you're putting down deposits to secure negotiation that takes 5 months. And once you take your 5 months to get through the negotiation to sign the lease, then the old tenant now is pissed that you're kicking them out, even though they didn't want to sign. So they're going to play a little tug of war with you and say, oh, well, so we're supposed to start construction February 1st. February 1st. So they were supposed to be out basically closing their business January 1st. And it was an old gym, take 30 days. I mean, you got to remove 50,000 pounds of equipment, squat racks. I mean, it's a 30,000 square foot gym. It's a huge place. And they played a little game of chicken and egg to try and mess with me. And they didn't close their business till January 22nd, 8 days before. And I have to get contractors contracts because a demo crew has to start. They need 30 days notice, and we only have 6 months to build. I mean, there's so many details. It's not worth trying. So, long story short, they get a huge crew in here, and I'm here 3 days before, and it doesn't look a bit different. And I'm like, oh, these, I don't have a temper, but I was getting real darn close. And they work for 72 hours and move all of it out. And I didn't even know. I didn't go there for 2 days because I was so pissed off. And all of a sudden, everything's gone. And so now I'm begging my GC, get the contractors out here. This is my first ever construction project. Like, give me a hammer, a mallet, I'll do it. I don't need you guys. And we started 11 days late, which, you don't think's a lot. It adds up really, really fast because, then we found out we were lied to about the bathrooms and got told the bathrooms were to code. You ripped the drywall off. The aluminum studs were not to code. They weren't a heavy enough gauge. So then all of a sudden change order, redo bathroom. I mean, it just is endless. And as my first time, I'm like, just build it, move on. So we were supposed to open August 8th and we opened August 26th. And I planned all this 3 years ago. So I only missed by 21 days and we started construction 11 days late. So, I only missed really by about 10 days. But my wife didn't see me a lot. I thought she was going to kill me. So, I was at the end of it. I was on lifts, hanging up soundboards and cutting holes in drywall. And honestly, PourMyBeer was great. We kind of screwed them when they showed up for the install. Our electricians were nowhere near where they should have been. And I told the guys, I'm like, hey, go to my golf course, go enjoy a few hours, let my electricians focus on your thing and get us where we need to get to. And we didn't even have GoTab in it. And you had to have GoTab in it at the horn. So it was a complete crap show. So it all worked out. A lot of yelling, a lot of like, I don't think this is going to happen. I don't, but we're here now and it's done. And it's equally as hard to do still.
So,
Well, again, sorry if I gave anybody some PTSD or stress from that, but absolutely I have the same feeling. It's if I'd have known how hard it was in 2010, but you need that adrenaline, you need that naivety, I guess, to but it's worth it. I mean, again, looking at your facility now, clearly it's a testament to that grit. If we can go to the next slide there, let's see what's
I mean, I think every day. I think the great thing is like you said, you don't know what you don't know, and I didn't know it was going to be that hard, so I didn't really mind waking up and doing the work because I was like, it's not going to be like this every day. It's like that every single day for like 200 days in a row. But then when you're out of it, you're out of it. Now, place is built, moving on, and I already got a permit in for the second one, so we're on to bigger and better.
nice. And, you mentioned corporate business, which I thought was, I just got back from Michigan. I was up there visiting some locations that we have up there, and the same thing resonated. They said that's been a massive, I would say, maybe not shift, but that corporate business is there for the taking. Because these companies, they want places to bring their teams to and have events at, and like you said, a 250 person event. It's there is that concept of if you build it, they will come. But there's also the get out there and build that pipeline, like viewing it as an actual sales organization. You said you hired someone that's kind of doing that for you.
It's even way. We have a sales girl, but when you open, you're like, oh, if you build it, like you said, if you build it there, come open the doors. First day we build it, like 6 people walk in the door, and I'm like, oh my god, like what's happening? We're in a great location. So, I like everything else. It's picked up quite a bit. But I had, we're printing out, Chipshot folders with our name on the front, catering flyers, flyer about our menu, catering menu, our sales girl, and I'm sending people out door to door. I mean, we did it for a month straight, or about 20 days straight. We were going about touching 20, 30 businesses a day, and they're working. I mean, the people or saying, and we gave them 10% off your catering or come in for your first free hour and all this stuff, and people are coming in because of that. So it takes some groundwork. Not only our sales girl's great when they come in, people are they're just coming information. We're a first time facility, everyone wants to see it. It's like the shiny new car, they want to know and all that. But then once they get the price, people have had a great time. But just that we had to sell a lot to get them in here, and just to get to know we're here. It's it's not, a lot of this crowd doesn't have social media, which I've learned. I didn't know there were people who didn't use social media, but we put a lot of money into social media, did fantastic our first 4 days, and that's about it. And because all the social media who people came, and now our regulars, most of them don't use social media because they're locals with parents. So we had to get pretty creative.
well, I think
Curious, I wanted to get Tim's thoughts on this. That being said, like events and corporate events, specifically, structuring it with GoTab so you can easily transact, whether it's a bronze, silver, gold package, a per person, pre-purchase.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear, but Tim's thoughts on that because you're seeing it from a macro level, and then also Thomas, from a micro level.
I can tell you, well, they're pretty common in the restaurant industry is a product called Triple Seat. I don't know if Thomas is using it or not.
I was going to say that.
Okay. And we do integrate with them, and it is getting better every day in terms of that integration. Events from an accounting perspective tend to be a nightmare because nobody manages their revenue correctly, and there's ways to do it right. Unfortunately, the restaurant industry is not super educated on it because a lot of people treat it like cash, and they recognize the revenue in the wrong month, and then all of your projections off and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But if you do it right, which we're happy to help people with, and we actually focus on doing that, then it can really drive your business. The profit's amazing, just as long as you put it in the right month.
Yeah.
And we see, they do kind of own the market in that event space. But the one thing, touching on Thomas's point, is email is one of the most effective ways to get in front of these people. Even though everybody's tired of email and we all think it doesn't work, you know, if you're selling to corporate sponsors, email is actually a really great way to get in front of them. So, you know, think about your CRM, think about your email campaigns, think about the strategies there, because it may be old and boring, but it does get you there.
Yeah, and we, like he said, we do use Triple C. It's nice. They take the payments. Our packages are uploaded to them. It's very specific. We don't really do anything. I mean, the packages is on there. We can customize on the back end, and I think it comes through GoTab as a deferred sales. I think they use PaySafe to process that through Triple C.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, I sent out $5,000 worth of flyers to people's houses in Jacksonville. With I was actually looking at it, it's sitting right here. It's just a card, and it has Chipshot Pickleball Entertainment, and then on the back it says, you know, $5 there for your first pickleball golf reservation, and then all of our things on here. And you know, we had to get pretty creative early, but it's events are great, and it is like the email list is very important. I know you guys are integrating. I know you're integrating with who we use for a reservation platform. They're called Open Court.
Yep.
You're in the process with them integrating with them, but we have access to everyone who comes here and plays pickleball. They leave us their phone number, their email, and they're part of our email list. We send out 6,000 emails every Monday, and we send one email out. So we, you know, every Monday at noon, Chipshot gets you the schedule for the week. And I hate spam emails. I hate getting them every 3 days. So I have our team put them in one concise, clear email. Here's the Chipshot information for the week. You can delete it right up. But our list of people who open it, because we can see opens, and it's actually staggering the amount of people who open it and view it and for how long. Because I really hate spam, the block messages that look bad. So we give one great looking image with our schedule, very concise. Here's what it is, and it's been working really well.
Yeah,
Nice.
that confirms what we see as well, Thomas.
Yeah, it's not though. You just build it, you will come. If you think that, yeah, tough road coming.
So, you know, looking at your facility and also taking into consideration, we have people on the call that don't have the entertainment side of it. They're just a restaurant, bar, and grill type, you know, venue. I'm curious, is there a percentage of business that comes there and is just utilizing your facility for the food and beverage side?
Yeah.
Do you know that percentage?
No, I don't know that percentage, but I know food and beverage is about 70% of our sales. So that's really the important thing to us. I mean, the pickleball community, they, you know, they kind of come in like a herd. They came, we have about 200 members. We pick up about 20, 30 a week. But like we have our community. They play every day. We run an open place for 10 hours a day. You know, I don't really have to do anything for them anymore. They pay the monthly fee and they use it 10 hours a day. I mean, it's and we run events for them, and they get discounts on all of our events and leagues. But now once the pickleball is set up, we're a restaurant. You know, we are a sports bar, a smokehouse, a restaurant. You come in here, you eat, you drink, you have lunch. I mean, we have a 300-inch TV, we have 33 85-inch TVs. Like, you come here to watch sports, and while you're here, come do other activities. You know, other places you just go and you can watch sports. Well, here you can play cornhole free, 2 basketball goals that are free throw lines for college for free, ping pong free, Connect Four free, arcades, golf, pickleball. So I really have something for everyone. You know, and we try to give a lot of stuff once you're here. You know, you buy one beer, you can play ping pong for 3 hours. You know, and you can play cornhole. You know, it's you know, we're trying to entertain you. And I got TV. I mean, you can't see an area and not see TV. That's what we spent hours in our construction process walking around. It's like, if we're standing here, look up. Where does the TV need to go? Right there. Okay, we're gonna put one there. So you can't not see a TV anywhere you're standing.
That's great. It does remind me, Thomas, something, having a background in owning breweries. Most people probably don't know, but the number of breweries in the United States shrunk over the last couple of years. So it went from 10,000 roughly craft breweries to 9,000. And most of the anecdotal evidence is that the ones that are hurting the most are the ones that actually are breweries only and don't have food.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've heard confirming research on is that if you have food, then people can bring their whole family. Then it becomes an event. Then some people play cornhole, some people drink beer, some people eat food. And you have the whole, non-alcoholic sort of trend overall as
Yeah,
well. So you have, a mix. And as crazy as it is, people still love those environments. But if you only have one thing, and this, in my mind, I kind of see pickleball, it's obviously on a growth curve upward. But then the question is like, okay, is that curve going to go over on forever? Or do we think at some point there's going to be, okay, there's great places to play pickleball, or there's, four courts in a
yeah,
box.
yeah. I think it's a tough model, like you're saying. I think that's why I always saw it. It's like do you want to be the Planet Fitness model where you're just a gym, or do you want to be something like you're saying where you're an experience when you show up? You're going to come here and you don't have to be a member. It's the members are the ones who get a lot of value out of it. I mean, our membership couldn't be cheaper, and they get to spend 10 hours a day. But that it is when you come here. You're here for 2, 3, 4 hours. It's not just eat, leave, and you can if you want. It's a full restaurant, but I really want people to come and be able to get away. And the tough thing in Jacksonville is every club, and this was the thing that was part of all of my pitch was if you're either very independently wealthy and you're a member of a club that has a $150,000 initiation fee plus, because we don't have any mid-range clubs, we have super high end or public. So you're either going to go to a public park and play, or you're going to be a member of a $150,000 club. There's no other entertainment for that middle section, and I think that's completely absurd. I mean, I grew up at nice country clubs, and I've been to probably the nicest clubs you can be as a professional golfer, and like, it's they're not that entertaining. They're more they're posh. I'm not exactly a posh individual. I wear t-shirts and New Era hats. I kind of like just having a great time watching sports. So I wanted somewhere everyone, any demographic, any income level can come and enjoy and not feel like they don't belong, because those are hard to find.
That's great.
One of our, I guess, people has a question about whether you make them close the tab when they purchase the food, or it's an open tab and they can use their Pour Wall card along with continuing to add food items to it. I didn't want to answer that question for you, so I was curious how you manage that.
Yeah. So when you come in, we create you your tab. We send you your text message, and it's click here and you confirm your card, and then sorry, I want to have the comments here. I get completely distracted. Yeah, once you get your receipt, you can or your ticket. Yeah, you can use your card, and it goes on your beer card, and you can order food throughout. So it's completely open. You don't have to close, and you can walk throughout the facility. So people, when you go back to use the simulators, some people like during the Ryder Cup they rent it for 3 hours. So I don't want to make them close out every hour. So they order wings to start, beers in the middle, some desserts on the end. So yeah, it's a running tab for 3 hours, and it closes out at 3 in the morning.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
I really didn't want people to order at our bar, or order on the ticket and then walk 250 feet, come back to order at the bar, and they go, "Well, we need your credit card again. Go walk another 200 feet. We'll see you in 10 minutes." Like I want them to be able to give us the card once, enjoy the facility. Don't worry about your wallet, anything else. Just go.
One of the
Nice.
one thing I want to add there, Thomas, which I think you take for granted, but a lot of people don't realize is when you do private events and you are doing like RFID cards or something like that, and one of the things that I'm pretty darn sure is true is people are more willing to spend somebody else's money. Um, so when you hand out, four cards to four, or the three of us say go to your place, and you hand out three cards, and I say I'm paying. Well, Josh and Thomas each head to the bar immediately because Tim's paying, right? So the
Yeah,
reality is, once you hand out these group RFID cards and you have an open tab, there's a lot less friction to buy that next appetizer or that extra beer or whatever
yeah,
because hey, guess what? Someone else is paying. I don't have to pull my credit card. It doesn't feel quite like cash. And our data actually supports this. We see in a food hall, for example, when people open a tab, we'll see on average two as much as three times higher spend or on that payment. Of course, one of the things we don't know is, is that for two people or three people?
yeah.
But some of these food halls where they're doing like a single order and pay, you'll see a check average or a payment average of $15, which is less than a third of what we see in a shared RFID food hall.
Yeah, when we did it, honestly, when we opened, we didn't even know you could. I mean, we kind of opened, didn't know anything. We didn't know you could add people and have other cars. We literally had no idea what we were doing. you know, and I just like when I was building it, I'm just like, all right, well, we'll figure this out as we go. And once we figured out you know, if Josh opens a card, I can put 20 people on that account. It helped significantly. You know, so we did our first like 5 events, not even knowing we could do that. Once we figured out we had about a 35-person event, and they said, well, can we do a beer wall? And you know, originally we were telling people, no, we can't really, like, they don't really know how to give a company 30 cards. Once we figured it out, it was great. We hand out 30 cards, check their IDs, and the entire party just, they might as well just open the tap and put their mouth under it. And if they're not paying, they are going to get after it. So you know, it has been great, and I'm still learning how to use everything. I mean, Josh came here about a month ago. He's like, you don't know how to change the background? I'm like, I don't know how to change the background. I barely know how to turn the lights on in this place. So he taught me some things for a couple hours. So once I learn all this stuff, it gets every time I see it, I'm like, oh, that's why they did that. You know, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think one of the things, to your point, on the pour wall, you got 30 people having a party, and you can actually have another 30 people in a party, and they're both using that same pour wall. So you don't have to track who's pouring what or where. You really have, you know, 16, 18 bartenders going simultaneously, and you never have to figure out whose tab it's on, because basically the RFID takes care of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's when I saw, that's the first time I walked into Golden Mills, like I saw El Dorado. I mean, I walked in and I'm like, oh my God, there's 800 people in here and there's not a line at the bar. I'm like, okay, what is this? Yeah, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if this is a scam or not, but I'm gonna get in on this. Yeah, yeah, it is. It was, you know, it's great. I mean, you guys truly thought of, you know, everything. And I'm sure there's 40% of the stuff on that server to my left. I don't even know what it is, but it's getting better and better every time we see something. And we call GoTab and PourMyBeer probably twice a week. Like, hey, we did something. We don't know what we're doing. Help. And they're pretty. Their customer service is pretty darn good.
Thank you.
That's one of the challenges there, Thomas, is that, you know, how much information do you give someone from day one, knowing that you've got, you know, 50 other things you're trying to manage and
Yeah.
remember. So it's that, you know, can you drip feed them more information, week 1, week 2, week 4, week 6?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'd really love to help you guys take advantage of happy hour functionality, or that we have an automated, when a keg's a certain days old, it can automatically discount it, but not make it not make it aware to the customer that this is a 3-week-old keg or a 2-week-old keg. It's just
Yeah.
it's discounted, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think in a perfect world, you know, because I mean, maybe when you're a part of a Fortune 500 company and they have these things exactly spelled out with manuals, but if you're a new company and you're opening up and you're having to deal with all this crap, whatever you guys are going to tell us in the first 3 days, none of us are going to remember, because I'm still paying bills. I'm trying to pay the place and learn how to set up auto pay. So yeah, the perfect world scenario is where you, like you said, you drip feed them like, hey, here's your weekly reminder on some cool additions you can have on our, and you just drip feed them for like 2 months until you've run them through the whole program. Because like I'm 60 days in, and it's just starting to calm down. I mean, barely starting to calm down. Like on like every day I come in here and it's 12 hours of something I need to accomplish. So, you know, this is like the perfect time where I can start learning things.
Well,
I mean, go ahead, Tim.
I was gonna say, for what it's worth, you can type all the manuals you want in big corporate America, but nobody reads them anyway. So
I'm actually typing my own manual just because I'm getting questions. I'm like, really? Like I need to explain sales tax? But yeah, sure, I'll explain it. So I'm doing my own manual, and I feel ridiculous doing that, but I know why people have manuals, because of the questions we get.
yeah.
Well, you know, one of the things Tim said, that I wanted to make sure the audience heard too, was the whole idea behind this connectivity, and as Thomas said, a tech forward venue is you want to give the guest a consistently good experience. But if you just look at a traditional bar, and Tim and I were talking about this, if you have 100 people go to that bar and they all open a tab, they might drink one drink every 90 minutes. That's kind of the time frame from when they're interacting with the point of sales, or when they're interacting with the bartender and placing another order. Whereas, you know, we've got transactional data that says that there's people that they're going up to get 3 ounces, and then they get another 6 ounces not even a minute later. And you know, when you give people access, they're gonna use it more, and they're gonna spend more. And I didn't know if Tim, you had any thoughts on that topic.
I mean, we certainly see it. The other thing is, I think having food helps too. So food tempers alcohol, obviously. And you see the same thing with breweries with food sell more beer. In fact, one of my friend's breweries, it wasn't even one that we were operating in, did a very systematic study, and the day that he had the food truck, he sold one beer per cover extra. So he didn't have food. The day he had the food truck, he sold one more beer for everybody who walked in the door. So there's some pretty, and that was great because that was a very easy control data set. We have a lot of numbers that'll show like 2 to 3x more spend in a place that has, good, well-made food rather than just, a candy bar or something.
Yeah.
And obviously that's partially because they're hanging out too. They're not just playing a game, grabbing a bar and rolling out the door. So it's pretty clear in the numbers. The hard thing is like we don't always know the operational. We don't know how good the food is. We know you have food. We don't know how good it is, and it's hard to measure those across data sets. But I'd say to your point, Josh, it's always 2 to 3x more spend, more payment when we see food and beverage on top versus a pretty limited option.
Nice. And
Like
I
I think
think
I saw one of the questions. This is something I just learned today with unpaid sales. Because that's customers' favorite thing is to put a credit card on there that doesn't have enough money on there and then run a tab up.
Yeah.
That I'm a nice person, but that's kind of where it is. So we are just learned here 40 minutes ago that you can do incremental
Authorizations.
authorizations. So
Right.
that's probably been our biggest fee. I mean, we had $4,000 our first month of unpaid sales from people either saying they don't have enough money on their credit card, they tried to mark us as fraud. That people do some pretty sketchy stuff. Yeah, pretty bad. $4,000.
Yep.
So I just learned about. We actually had a 2-day meeting about this because I got a little temperamental when I saw this. They trying to figure out. So they just told me I could do incremental authorizations. So if someone tries to run a tab up, they keep running it up, it's going to keep authorizing more money to make sure they can't do that. So,
Yeah.
and we just got rid of the, on a POS where you can hit send, pay, and send authorize. I just got rid of the send button because the send button, people are in a facility like this. Hey, you get 20 people in line at a bartender. They come up, hey, can I get some wings, beer? And then the next person, they just hammer you. So you just hit send because you're trying to get the orders in. And then they go 300 feet away and you don't know where they are and you can't get their card. So we're, like all this stuff I'm learning here, the incremental pay, hopefully they're not going to get me for $4,000 again. And then,
So they shouldn't be able to. There are some caveats. We can cover like 90%. There's a really, one of our other Pour My Beer shared customers actually has a problem. She's near a university campus, and it turns out college students have a lot of time on their hands to figure out how to scam, nearby businesses.
yeah.
And there's a really easy way to do it, which I probably won't disclose here, just so not more people know how to do it. But the reality is like there's a lot of people who figured it out, and that's obviously why we built this adjustment. It's called adjusted auth or incremental authorization. One of the features that you have when you're on the QRs, they can only pull off the scam once, and then they basically get blocked from opening another tab on any venue. So if they go to another GoTab location, we're like, hey, by the way, you owe Chipshot $100. You can't open a tab at Golden Mill.
Yeah.
So there's more to come on that. We're actually working more on this because it is as we might or might not be in the best economic cycle, some bad behavior starts showing up depending on your region. And
we had some repeat offenders too, and I didn't know how to stop them other than I enjoy looking on the security camera and seeing what they look like and wait until they come in again and having a nice little conversation. So, I just learned that button. I took away the send button, so you have to send pay or send authorize. So I have to get your card on file. I'm just again, we're learning too. I had an hour talk with the GoTab lady yesterday, and an hour talk with the GoTab lady 2 days ago. We're learning because people get pretty crafty, and it's hard.
Well, this is a really, I would say it is a topic that I've heard recently as well. So I think it's good for our listeners to hear this, but what is the optimal pre-auth amount? I mean, I've heard 30. I mean, is 60 too much? Is 70 too, like, it's like
Well, I think in an ideal world, you would pre-auth every time you go above the amount, you authorize another 25. So if you, we just talked about this, and they want to do $10, and I was like, these people are taking us for 150. They're getting more than $10 pre-authorized. So we're going to start it at 25. But I think in a perfect world, and this might already exist, I don't know this, but just from our side is we pre-authorize 25. When you hit that $25, it automatically pre-authorizes another 25. So it just constantly does that if you're going to run a tab up on us. Just because,
Now, Tim, does that impact the transaction cost every
Nope.
time it's pre-auth? It doesn't?
Nope, it does not. Not in our system. In some systems it may, but in our system there's no charge for the additional authorizations.
Yeah, like if that it might exist. I don't know if it does. I just learned about this pre-auth, but if that exists, that'd be great because they're crafty individuals, man.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a number of ways to run the scam. And we're, to my knowledge, one of the only systems that does that adjusted authorization. It's not perfect because some banks don't actually return good data, but it's a relatively small set. And then the other thing that we're putting together is like, okay, you can only pull the scam once, and then next time you show back up, you try to run the card. We go, hey, bud, you did this here already. You can't open it. In fact, you need to pay us for that first amount that you owe us.
I think you guys, I learned this yesterday. When a card has insufficient funds, we had 115 cards our first month that had insufficient funds. 115 people came in, put a card down, and didn't have, and then they ran up a nice tab. And you guys continually try to charge them until it pays. So it's not like they go put $50 on that card again. We're going to get our $50 out of it.
Yeah, we will try that for quite a while. We don't print it up because we don't want people to know when to play with their cards, because there's a lot of games in the area. But it's amazing. One of the things, Thomas, to your credit, that that most POSs actually don't even surface a way to know how much you didn't get paid.
I just called my food and beverage partner, and was like, "Do you even know about this?" And he's like, he gets real tight with the numbers. He's like, "If I know about this, I'm going to be pissed off." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not exactly pleased right now." So,
unfortunately,
I think it's different with the tab being up until 3 a.m. I mean, we've examined making people close out because that solves that problem right there. But still, you get 30,000 square foot facility. I mean, people want to have the tab open, and you don't want to have to go up every single time and charge your card. So we're we're learning. You guys are developing features, and it's getting better.
Yeah, if you're turning on adjusted authorizations, which is a feature, it sounds like maybe you have now turned on, it'll reauthorize every time, and then you actually can't get stiffed for anything except for the last PourMyBeer pour. So there's a couple of ways to bolster it, I guess.
Yeah, I literally turned that button on 6 minutes before I got on this call. So that's my bookkeeper came in here, and and that's one thing I didn't realize is how often you even the CPAs and bookkeepers. I mean that's some mind-numbing stuff right there. But they catch all those red flags, and it's every single time, and it's great because it's always someone triple checking you. And $4,000 a month adds up, and that's just our first 2 months we're open, or month we're open.
There's no shortage of people trying to take money from you. I mean, I think just any business owner should be aware that someone purchased PourMyBeer.com and then created an email for me, took my signature, sent it to our accountant, and said, here's an invoice that needs to be paid immediately. And it was for like $23,000. And it got put in the queue to get paid, and I had to approve it. I'm like, what is this? I didn't approve this. And she sent me the email, and I was like, wow, they went to the extreme. They bought our website with one letter different and then created an email. So, just not to get all fear mongering, but like, you got to be aware, you got to, as an owner, there's people that are going to try to take you every which way, but putting systems in place, like, Tim was just talking about, and obviously you with the pre-auth, I think you got to fight fire with fire, right?
You guys probably hate this, but when I get a bill and it looks sketchy, I just don't even pay it from the contractor, because that's what people always do: reach back out. They, if it's a scam, they never reach out again. They give it a one-time effect. So if I don't know it, I just don't pay it. Yeah, and guess what? They always reach out with my number personally, and it always gets paid. But if it doesn't look official, they ain't getting money from me.
kind of the way you
Hey,
have to operate today.
You have to.
uh,
It's terrible. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, I just want people to come here and have fun, enjoy, pay. You know, just man, people rip down a basketball goal every 2 weeks. You know, trying to dunk on it, and I don't care. I just have fun, enjoy, pay, and leave. You know, don't just try. You know, we're a small business. We're working our butts off here just to get this place going, and it's hard. I mean, that's why I said it's hard. It's not for the faint of heart here, and you gotta be ready to. It's like going to war. I mean, it is every single day.
Josh, we only got a couple more minutes here. I don't know if we want to touch on some of these questions.
yeah, I've been answering a few and sprinkling some in, but we do have a few sitting here. What was it? So Jay Huffman asked, do you find that guests have reluctance opening their tabs on their phone via text?
No, we send them the text message. You know, they don't. They open the tab at our front desk, and we send them the text.
Okay.
So
they're not putting any of their like Apple Pay or anything into the text message. Tab's already open. They're just getting the link.
Yeah, they get when they come up to our front desk, they get because we have to scan their ID for the beer wall. So they get beer wall card and their tab sent to their message, and their card's already hooked up on it. And then they have to confirm it. So they're actually probably pleased because they can track what they're spending as they go instead of just this have no idea and then the receipt drops down and you're like, well, I didn't pay for that. So this is exactly what you're spending as you go.
Yeah, you're using EasyTab, it sounds like, at the front desk. So you're texting it to them after you open it with the card.
Yes.
Which is good because that actually means it limits chargebacks because you're using a physical card. But it also means you're transitioning them so you don't, because I know Josh, I'm sure people walk up and PourMyBeer locations all the time and say, I didn't drink this. And you're like, well, it's funny because you could look at it the whole time. So to your point, Thomas, you're like, hey, you've had it on your phone the whole time, bud. I suspect you may have.
I got these interesting thing called security cameras, and they usually don't lie to me. So I like to use them quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm not George Orwell in here, but I'm darn close.
There's a question. It's kind of a GoTab question. And PourMyBeer in Texas, they have a limit law. Does GoTab set how much a person can drink at a time? That's more our system than GoTab, right? Yeah. So we set a 2-drink. We're unique in the fact that we define what a drink is. So if a 16-ounce beer is a drink, or a 7-ounce or 6-ounce glass of wine is a drink, or a 5-ounce cocktail is a drink, that once that number equals 2 and you see the little meter on the side going down, it's going to tell you to see one of the friendly staff and get authorized to drink more. But that's every state.
Yeah, and I think one thing we really learned on that, and it was actually when you were here, because the problem is we had no idea. Like I said, we didn't know what we were doing, so we had soda hooked up to the alcohol. So you'd go pour 2 Cokes, and it shut down your alcohol card every single time because we didn't know you could classify different things as a drink. So now I classified like 1,000 ounces of soda as one drink because it doesn't affect your pour. So you can pour soda, but you can sit there for 20 minutes and hold the Coke thing open, and it only takes you down one drink. Versus you pour 16 ounces of beer, that's a drink, or 6 ounces of wine, or less of a cocktail. So that's a really nice feature that we learned, and that was a huge problem when we opened. And then when you showed up, solved it in 20 minutes.
Let's see.
Question from Joshua. I'll go ahead and answer the best I can. Just the credit card world is messy. I just guessing based on what you're talking about, which is already paid. That's a pending authorization. Unfortunately, it sounds like you're explaining to them how credit cards works in your case, because a pending authorization is the pre-authorization. That one will get canceled, and then they'll run a final transaction at the end of the night. I do know it shows up different in different banking apps, which is probably what you're seeing and probably what some customers are asking about. As far as how the system works, at least our system, you can't actually technically run 2 payments. So what it'll do is it'll cancel the pre-authorization if for some reason it can't adjust it, and it'll run the final transaction. But what I know most operators do is say, look, if it's still there, text us or call us in a couple of days and we'll fix it. And it goes away within a day or 2, and then it's not really an issue.
Yeah, I mean, is that? Well, I'll ask a question for Tim here because this is great that I have access to you. Can we do this for 2 more hours? So, and that with that unpaid sales, that incremental authorization, Is that how that works? When you spend 25, once you hit 25, it authorizes another 25?
It authorizes every order. So if you order, you know, a hamburger for $12, it authorizes $12. And then you order whatever the next step, whatever your next order is. I order a cheeseburger or you know, whatever's next to pour my beer, then it'll increment that next
That's
amount.
fantastic. So they can't order 12 and it not be on their account because it'll
Correct.
it'll it'll it'll
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, so I should caveat this right now, and this is something that's getting improved. That is not true of Pour My Beer because we don't know how much they're going to pour until afterward. There's a
Yeah,
feature going in where it'll check after they've poured because we don't know that you're going to pour 12 ounces and it's going to cost this much. But we can adjust the authorization up to the new amount. However, the question that Joshua asked here is, hey, why does the customer think we charge them all these times? If you're on Bank of America, you won't have a problem and you'll see a pending transaction. We see problems in consumer apps where they're using some, like, say, credit union that has a crummy app, and that crummy app will say, you know, 4 charges, and those are adjusted charges. So it'd be like the $12 for the, you know, for the burger, the $8 for the beer, and they're like, oh, I got charged 4 times. You're like, no, you got charged for each of the different things you ordered because we're doing adjusted authorizations. So then that becomes the question that Thomas is kind of wrestling with is, do I want to deal with answering the questions or do I want to deal with getting ripped off? Like,
Yeah.
kind of a,
answer the questions because I got other solutions for getting ripped off that probably won't end well.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, you got cameras, so you can put their pictures up all over town, right? It's,
Yeah. I got. We bring them out to my golf course. We take care
yeah.
of them.
So we had some more questions here. So Brian, he's opening a spot in Lake Elmo, Minnesota. He was asking, it looks like you have ready to drink cocktails, but also bar service and cocktails. How did you decide to do it that way? And what is the mix of RTD versus actual bar service drinks?
We actually took cocktails. We don't have them on this wall. I didn't put in enough taps. I thought 18 was plenty. And once it kind of got, I think 18 taps, oh, that's a lot. Not really that much. So in Daytona, I think I'm putting in 40. So I'll do cocktails on the wall down there. But we have a full service bar at all times, bartender staffed. And it's a bartender waiter. We call them a table toucher. So they either serve your drinks, it's not packed at the bar. They're serving you out in the restaurant area if you need it. They kind of jack of all trades. But on a Saturday, when we have 200 people in here, you have several bartenders pouring drinks fast.
Nice. And then Jay was asking your staffing model, like how you structure your staffing, front of house, back of house, different parts of
That's
the venue.
sitting right there on that screen. That's my staff right there. We put it out every week, and I have a GM that is great. They do that. Obviously, this allows us to run a smaller staff percentage than most restaurants. My restaurateur partner, we're running almost 12% cheaper than he is. Now we run it slightly different than he does, but I mean, we do pour significant amounts of beer and have zero labor involved after you keg it. So that does help your staffing model and the QR codes. We're doing a little different. We're gonna have kind of, like I said, table touchers, because the QR codes, people are kind of, they get their order started, but they're not thinking about what they want next. So we're trying to have someone walk around and remind them, hey, can we get you something else to, kind of do a little sales, a little upsell.
Yeah, selling, yeah.
Yeah, people, they don't know that they're hungry or thirsty. I mean, come on, you got to remind everyone's thirsty. So we're starting that here this week, and to help people to, just get their food faster, and but it's been good.
Nice. Tim, there's a question that looks like directed towards you with the pre-auths, pre-auths on the PMB wall.
I think I kind of touched that one. Right now, the pre-authorization is not before PMB.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Afterward. It's not fully in place yet. So it does authorize when they order food or anything like that. But the Pour My Beer currently would be, the new version is going to be threshold based. So it's like $25 or $10 or whatever.
Okay. And then any challenges with the Easy Tab or Apple Pay?
I'm not sure who that's directed at. I mean, those are core features. So I'm going to say no because I have to. but I don't know if that's directed at Thomas, maybe.
Easy tab is just, like I said, is that just when they put
That's
their
the
number in and then they,
that's yeah, that's the text message. They start being they open the tab.
yeah, it's being honest. That's what I happened at Golden Mill. And I thought it was great. So, when someone of the older community comes in who's not tech savvy, they struggle with it a little, but we have people here to help them walk through it. And you also don't have to have that.
Yeah.
You can just hit no if you don't want the text message sent to you. You don't have to have it sent to you, but I'd say 95% of the people send a text to them because they like, you like to see what you're spending. You don't, it's kind of when you go to that nice restaurant and the bill comes down, everyone's like, ooh, what did I spend? That type of, that we don't have that anymore here. It's track as you go.
Yeah. Okay, Joshua just clarified. You are correct, Joshua. Apple Pay can present a problem because people oftentimes don't know with EasyTab. They don't know the last four digits of their card because they'll put in a card, and in some cases, they actually have a virtual card where they actually don't know the last four digits.
Yes, we have seen that. I had that happen to me at lunch like an hour ago here.
So you are correct, Joshua. There is a pending feature to come, which is going to use their basically a name to validate. Because so I was actually going to say one of the nice things about EasyTab, and Thomas doesn't know that yet because he's in the he's learning by through the process.
Like a fire hose.
Yeah, by fire hose. So the fact is that you're collecting a lot of data on your customers, more data than you probably realize, because as soon as they set up that profile on their phone, you now have a profile of that customer. Every time they come back, you implicitly got their phone number. All their purchase information is now attributable to Thomas Walsh at this phone number. So you actually have all history being gathered when you tie it back to a phone. It's a lot richer data set. So that's kind of the power behind that. It's not visible because they just unwittingly set up a profile on their phone so they could walk over and order from a QR without having to put a card on file.
Yeah.
So there's some really cool things, but as Josh was highlighting, not everything works perfectly, and the Apple Pay one is a feature to come.
And it hadn't been that big a deal. I mean, it happens occasionally, but I always tell people when people really want, and I work the front desk. I try to work every shift to make sure find where my holes are and where you can get me from. So I work shift. I'm like, insert your card. Like they always try to outplay. I'm like, you got a credit card on it? Try inserting it because then we draw their name immediately. I don't have to type their name in, and I don't have any of those funky problems. But a lot of people don't carry credit cards anymore, so we have run into that. So when I see them do this, I go, look at the four digits there. I'm like, remember those four digits. Because those four digits are different than the ones in your wallet.
Yep.
So it's just a learning experience, but it's less than 5%.
Well, and like you were saying, the reality is you can not do it. You can just hit no, and then basically, so that it's pretty much designed to be just like a normal bar experience with this extra optional step at the end.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
That's what we're adapting recently. I mean, we went so tech heavy, we got rid of it, and people were just isolated 350 feet away, not ordering food when they should be. So we're actually moving back towards the restaurant menu where we're having some servers and some table touchers, but we still have the added amenity where you can order it anytime you want. So it's just an added amenity you can have.
Yep.
No, that's a great kind of point to end on too. It's like creating, you start with what you think works and then you adapt, right? So it's, maybe it even gets to the point where, if you recognize someone's a little bit older, maybe not as tech savvy, you give them, a little pencil and like a menu where they just check off the things they want, and you're like just giving them the ability to interact and order, making it easy for them.
Yeah, that's why we've gone to table touchers and have menus on Aber tables. We don't just have QR code menus. I mean, we're going back towards the restaurant model, but we're using all the technology at the same time. So it's the best of both worlds.
Yep. Nice. Well, I want to be respectful of Thomas's time. You've given us a lot here. Appreciate and him as well. And I do want to highlight, our marketing team, GoTab's marketing team and PourMyBeer's Haley and Patricia. Excellent job putting this together. I hope everyone that joined us is leaving with a little bit more knowledge than they came to us with. And as you can see, we've got a free playbook for you that's going to be sent to your inbox. And I think that's all we got.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
No problem. I
Hopefully,
I
I
will.
wasn't too sinister.
Yeah, I will do much better at Augusta when I come back down there.
Come on
You didn't
down. We're
see-
ready for you.
Cool.
Nice.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks,
thanks,
everybody.
guys.